will appear not taken seriously. Forget about BPP now, it was set up, no doubt, yes. But people don't seem to comply with its rules and regulations. Why is this so? Or maybe you don't agree with it.
Thank you very much. And it's nice to have me and to talk on this issue, which we have been struggling for over 20 years now, even when the World Bank came to carry out the study in conjunction with the Institute to advise the government that if they want to fight corruption and to have value for money, they need to professionalize procurement. And that was why the study was carried out that revealed that 80 to 90% of the total budget goes into procurement, contracts, and services. Then such an area, when it's not taken seriously, how do you expect government to derive value for money? That is why you see even money has been warehoused in unauthorized area. What I mean, those money that were discovered in Korea and those things, is it the right place for the bank? Because bank is the storage of where money should be warehoused, why material is stored in the distance. So everything when you see it is surrounded with procurement
And supply.
Yes.
But I'm saying it doesn't seem to be taken seriously.
Yeah.
Why? Why?
It's not taken seriously because people are of the view that when the issue of procurement comes up, that's where they make fortune for themselves. That is those who are not knowledgeable, who don't have knowledge of what the art and science of procurement entails. Like those of us who have the knowledge will know that what it means is to derive value and to spend wisely, because we classify ourselves as the wise spender when it comes to resources, effective and efficient resource management. Knock at the door of the procurement professional. It will tell you how you are to go about it and derive value for money. The government, the Nigeria, has still not yet know the value of that aspect or specialized area of how to manage the resources of the.
Is it so difficult to know the value? You said they are yet to know.
It's not difficult, but what it is that everybody, I'll say everybody, because including myself, all what we are all after is how to make quick money illegitimately. And that is wrong.
That is why. That's the answer.
That's the truth. Otherwise, when we know what to do and we're not ready to do it, and the few people that want to do it, you will see how they'll be going after them not to do it. Then where are we going? And we are all crying that it is that the country is not well positioned in terms of infrastructure and name it. Then when we are not doing the right thing, as far as due process is concerned, due process means a lot. Anything you are not doing right, you shouldn't expect good results from it. You have to do it right so that you expect good results from it.
Okay. Now, ensuring seamless professional public procurement and supply is like fighting corruption, which in turn fights back. I don't know whether you agree with me.
Yeah, I quite agree with you. You know, the law establishing the Bureau of Public Procurement, that is called it Public Procurement Act 14 of 2007, is a sunshine law that would have been used effectively and efficiently to fight the corruption, but it's not well implemented. That is why whenever they say that, things are not done in that direction, that way, I say, not that we don't have the law, but is the law well implemented to the letter? In a situation, the Bureau of Public Procurement is on ground, but the council to regulate that aspect is not on ground. One. Two, when we're talking of procurement is always based on competitive selection. And somebody is handpicked to go and man that place who doesn't know what to do and you are saying that it should be there, how will you know what to do? For example,
will you get good results?
For example, yes, you are a journalist. If they take you to the theater to operate human being now, what do you think you will do?
Plenty of dead bodies.
Then that is why you are seeing plenty of corruption in high places in Nigeria, because the right people are not saddled to do the job.
Can the collapse of the national economy be linked directly to the failure of our procurement and supply?
Absolutely correct, because as I said earlier, let's say for instance, a banker in a cashier in the bank, if he's taking one naira every day away, what do you think will happen to that bank at the end of the year? You should be able to know that there's going to be problem. That is why before you close, they will ask you to balance your account. How many of our senior government officials are asked to take record of the inventory of what they left behind? In a situation, a quarter is allocated to somebody. The former inventories are there. When another person occupant is going there, you will not meet anything. Nobody asks where is those things that are there. Is it not money? Because those materials do not just find its way to that place. It's money that is converted. And if you can agree with me, money only came to easy the exchange. What was this? It's exchange of material for material. That's a trade by barter. Then, the propounder of that theory, Adam Smith, in 1770s, you think he was mad? By extension, he equally added specialization. But today, everybody will tell you they know how to do the procurement, even the shorthand writers.
All right. Now, from the revelations of corruption that have come out so far, what areas of breach do you see from the point of view of professional procurement procedures?
There are so many. In the first place, procurement new due process. Like, for instance, if you want to acquire any material, first and foremost, was there plan for it? Was there budget for it? Because it has to go together. When there's no plan, procurement plan, and there's no budget for appropriation for it, what are you thinking you are doing? It is not like in those days when it's getting to the end of the year, then every ministry or department will be running helter-skelter and they want to spend their budget. Their budget. My question I always ask, does it mean if there's any saving from your salary, when December is coming, you have to spend everything? The answer is no. So you can see that there's no procurement plan, there's no budget, there's no appropriation. Where do you think money should come? And they will be amassing a debt for the government.
When I talk about breaches, which
the breach, that is why I'm still coming. The breach of it is that what now goes in spending, what is the budget shortfall is now to be collecting a fictitious receipt. Items are not received. Is that what it means? The answer is no. That's one of the breaches of its spirit. Because if a procurement professional is there, it will be asking, where is the item they are saying they want to supply? And it has to be there. That is why the issue of store verification officer has to come, which is to serve as watchdog over those things. Just as we have financial audits that will be taken from time to time, we need stock verification that will be carried out to make sure that item that is ordered is delivered to the right place at the right time, and to make sure those things are not there. That is why I told you that, when, like for instance, if a new governor is appointed, is elected today, the furniture that he met in that, he will say, oh, it's no more useful. But when he met money, he will not say that money is no more useful. Whereas material represent money, money represents vice versa. It turns to this.
You are also not looking at project duplication?
The same thing,
The
same thing applies. That is why when the World Bank saw they carried out, it said everything is centered on procurement. That's why it's 80 to 90% contract award, procurement of goods, works, and services, and so many other equipment, all those things. But we'll find out that this money, when it is appropriated, this is what will be used for, it will be diverted to a different thing, which is appropriation of this thing. The same thing will apply to material. If material is not used for the intended purpose, it's misappropriation.
These are things you have discovered within the system?
That is what are the things. And nobody asks, where are the records of all these things?
Okay. Now, of all the various industries, petroleum industry, the industrial conglomerates, the government ministries, which areas, of the national economy do you procurement professionals find most difficult to operate in?
It's all in the areas. In the government,
all in the
or in the government, they don't want the procurement professional to function appropriately. Some will come out, they say, no, it's a storeman. It's not a procurement person. Then, while the other one, they will say, no, it's in the procurement, it's not in this thing. These are operating in no government setup. That's why. Come to the issue of the petrol aspect that we are talking about. Things are not well tutored as far as procurement profession or best practice is concerned. For example, yes, at times you hear that say they are carrying out turning around service or all those things in those days. Then when you go deeply into it, some of them may not even be carried out by engineers. They have to bring foreigners. What were they looking at when they are conceptualizing this thing? Does it mean right after say service is not there, was not signed into, which means they didn't point this out? That is why I said any procurement function you want to embark on, you have to bring in a procurement professional to tutor you, to tell you, so that you will not run into a problem. Yes, the white people will be looking at us for anything we want to do, so that if we do not do right, they won't point it out, because that's the area they make their own fortune, because all what we have in Nigeria, they don't have 1/3 of it. Therefore, the service which they are specialized on, they capitalize on that. It doesn't mean that when we don't have the technology to reveal or to unlock all what we have, but we're supposed to go in and negotiate appropriately, because a renowned negotiator, Dr. Karat, he said, in business, you don't get what you deserve, but what you negotiate. So this is the issue.
Now, I know the private sector people, they are after efficiency to be able to make the maximum gain. Don't they give you people free hand within that particular sector of the economy?
We don't have problem with private sector as far as practicing or procuring, because they know they want to derive value for money, and they know that procurement is the key player in their operation. Therefore, without procurement, they cannot operate. In a situation when they don't have right material at the right time, from the right source, at the right price, delivered to the right place, manned by the right person, then that organization will not be in operation. I take a good replica of our
story. So it's only in the public sector you are having?
It's only in public sector. That is why that's why the economy generally, which is handled by public sector, is having problem. The reason are all these things enumerated, because people always want, in the situation, an item that's supposed to cost 10 naira, you are buying in 200 naira. What the remaining 190 naira, where does it go? It goes into the private pocket, which supposing, if it is in public private sector, it will be plowed back to make sure that that is why in the public sector you are hearing 10%. they are the one who coined that 10%. And while when in the journalism aspect of it, they will say brown envelope or white envelope. A real core person, as a journalist, won't take that, and he will not welcome that because he knows that it will dent his profession.
Okay, one of the biggest challenges that procurement officers face, by my estimation, is a tendency to compromise, under pressure, both the quantity and the quality of the purchases that are supposed to be made. Do you share my view?
Yeah, you are absolutely correct, because the issue is that they twist them at arm's length. In a situation, somebody that is one to decide your fate, some that are not themselves, they can easily fall the victim of that by the godfathers that be in place to say that if you don't do this, I will remove you from job.
Is there no way to deal with that weakness?
The way, based on the economy of the country, everybody wants to retain, those that are weak in their mind, in their profession, that's all that one that they compromise. But when we get wind of that, we deal with such situation. But funny enough, you find out that all the people they have, EFCC or ICPC, they have handling, you don't find any of our member in that such a practice, because those who are really practicing, they will not dabble into such because of the ethics.
Assuming there's so much pressure, and this fellow, just will not give in under pressure and is fired. Is there any arrangement, either by your institute or by whatever means, to be able to come to the rescue of that sacked person?
No, definitely we are handling that. Then we openly give advice of how he should handle that respect. Like, I will not measure the particular organization. We have a member there that a particular medical director, chief medical director, when he came on board, what the lady was doing, he said no, he now removed the lady and go and put her in the personnel. Then, when the lady came to say that this is the situation, I said, remain in personnel, because human resources management is one aspect of the procurement, because you use human, or that is men, to handle the job. You are to go and get knowledge as far as procurement of human resources is concerned. So that is why it went there. Because, and I equally advise her that out of the 8 M's of management, materials and money are the most notorious ones that when you are doing, and that's the area that we handle. Then, and I said, make sure you hand over properly to the person and document, everything. Then, when another medical director came and found what they embezzle money. So, when they take them, EFCC and the SPC take them off, and our person was called upon, and it was and the next the medical director that came said, go back to your seat. Then when he now went back, he now know how to, the section, that is human resources section, could fuse into procurement and supply chain management, and is able to blend, and is there till today, functioning very well.
Right.
So we know all those things. Then, like in most of federal medical center, as soon as the chief medical director, they assume, they are of the view that, oh, this thing, that and that, which myself, in one organization I work, I faced that problem. Pharmacists said they are the one to do the procurement of the drug that we are not supposed to do. I said, no. If we were to go to London today with level of education, do you need anybody or a pointer to take you as additional? We reduce cost, we don't increase cost. The only thing you have to do is to give us clear specification, detailed specification of what you want. Then we get it for you at the right price.
Let's move on. What should be the guiding principle, in public purchasing? Yes. Is it the quality? Is it the efficiency? Or the cost benefit? Because some people would rather prefer to go for the cheapest, all in the name of saving cost.
The guiding principles, there are so many, I'll just highlight a few. First and foremost, make sure that there's plan. 2, there's money to back it up. 3, there is need for it so as to avoid waste. Because if there's no need for any item and you purchase it, that's a waste in the first place. So those are the first guiding principles. Then this other one is that at the time you want to buy or acquire those items, there must be right price from the right source.
I'll get to that, right? Yes, price. My pointed question now is all about, where you place the premium. Is it on the quantity or the quality or the efficiency or the cost benefit?
I'm coming on that.
You say you are supposed to be reducing cost. You don't add.
I'm coming on that. Then you now come to take into consideration, because there are times a specification may be too good for the intended purpose or too bad for the intended purpose. Therefore, you are to call the user and advise, this thing you want to embark on, what do you want to use it? How do you want us to get it for you? Then we'll be able to advise as a professional that this is what will be good for the design. Because if an engineer designs something, they just design. You have to find out, will it be good for our local needs? In a situation where you just travel abroad and you see a car, you brought it, you have not taken it into consideration. Is it good for our weather? Are they going to be person to service that the mechanic?
Is it good for our roads?
Yes. All those things, you have to take it, all those factors, you have to take it into consideration before you arrive at that material. Then, after you have taken this into consideration, you are now to come into the aspect of the quality for the intended purpose. Because if an item is too good for the intended purpose, at the end you will find out that it will be a waste of resources. It will not
serve the purpose.
Yes. That is why you have to take the aspect of quality into account without compromising with the standard set. You have to look at that. Then you now to come again to availability of that material. Does it available locally or you are to go international? You have to equally look at that before you arrive and advise what to go. Then you have to talk of the quantity aspect of it. Is it going to be on a continuous basis or just once
and for all?
Yes, you have to look into that. Because there are some items, like for instance, you talk of paint. There are paint that you can use. If you paint, you can set the test of time for 10 to 3 years. While there are paint, you paint today, by tomorrow,
one rain just washes.
So you have to take all those things into consideration. But like the situation of the government, most of them, they don't look at that. All what they just want, the material. And the price for that material will be the price for the right quantity. They are taking the wrong quality. That is why some buildings that are collapsing, when you look at it, do they use the right quality material?
Okay, let's take this one directly before we move on to the next one. Buying things that are cheap, all in the name of saving cost. What do you say to that?
That is wrong, because you have to watch the situation surrounding it. You have to buy, that is why we call it right quality, consistent with the usage. If you don't, you are this thing. For example, if you use the wrong drug for human being, you are killing that person. The same thing applies to organization. If you are using wrong material, you are killing that organization, you are denting that organization. And there are some items that if you use it, it's going to pose a health hazard for the citizen. Why are you using it? It's not advisable. All what you are to do, that is why we always hammer on the right consistent with what is supposed to be. Yes?
Okay. There's still so much more to talk about on this issue before we close on the program today, but at this point we would like to take a breather, and we'll be right back with you. Please stay with us. Yes, welcome back. The program is still Galaxy Line, and my guest in the studio is the CEO of the Institute of Purchasing and Supply Management of Nigeria, Alhaji Jimo Aliyu. We were talking about, what it takes, to buy the right type of materials that is needed and that will be functional. Now, let's talk about how you determine the true cost. The true cost, that's the reasonable cost, they call it, of an item to be purchased.
Thank you very much. How we determine the true cost will be based after you have done your survey round to ascertain that, okay, this price you are actually getting is the right price. For instance, you cannot say you are getting right price from third party when you are supposed to go to the right source. For example, if you buy direct from a company and you are buying from intermediary, middleman, how do you measure that as the right price? The answer is no. And those who are handling the function, they know the parameters of what to use. For example, if you are buying a quantity of about 100, like for example, government is large purchaser of goods, works, and services, and you are going to the middle person to buy, why not direct to the company so as to derive value for money for what you are spending? Because it's taxpayers' money, mark you, that you are spending. You shouldn't look at it as if, oh, it's nobody's money. No, it's taxpayers. It's because our taxpayers, they are not asking for how their money is being disposed, that we are facing all this problem. So the right price should be the right source of materials.
All right. Now let's talk about the local sourcing and the outsourcing of materials, for production. Is the local option necessarily the way to go?
Yes, that is on condition that those items are available locally. If they are not available, the next option is to go
outsourcing.
Yes. Outsourcing in a way, we only concern outsourcing in the area of service, in the area of service. Then, when we are talking of in the area of this, like the Executive Order number 5, which President issued out in February, is very key to patronize our local district, because when you find out some Nigerians are glued to foreign materials than patronizing our own local made, which may even be better than the foreign they are bringing. For example, sometimes ago, the engineers are crying for us and they don't patronize them. I said, yes, Why they don't patronize you is because you leave your core competence area and be chasing other things. In a situation where you say procurement is your job, how will you do this? And I only clarify them that they are mid-career professionals. If not, an area you went to the university, you specialize on coming out, you are not practicing, you say it's procurement you want to do. What is it? Means you are not proud of your color. And I can remember in those good days, in our elementary history, where they say James K. Agri said that Africa, my Africa confess, who he is not proud of his color, is not fit to live. That's the way I classify them. Therefore, local content of which you know there's law on that local content now, that local content entails that our local content should be looked into. It's only when you don't have it locally, that is service, materials, name it, that you can now
do outsourcing. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, let's move ahead. Purchasing and supply is a painstaking, time-consuming business. I'm sure you agree with that. And this is perhaps why the due process policy has received knocks, for causing a whole lot of delay. Are delays justifiable? That's the question. Are delays justifiable in applying the due process policy to the letter?
It's not justifiable because, first and foremost, those who are saddled with the function, they are not lettered as far as procurement is concerned. Because if you are an engineer and you are now carrying out, do they call you engineer procurer? That is the equation, because the key word there is procurement. Therefore, it has to go with that letter. Second, being that the National Council on Public Procurement is not inaugurated till today, which means a baby is born, no mother, no father. That is the way I classify it.
It's a child picking, don't become.
That is what it is, because that child, if he continue misbehaving because nobody to tutor,
it becomes government picking.
That is why the way I look at it. Today, there's Bureau of Public Procurement. They counsel to regulate the function, the activities of that area. It's not on the ground. And the lawyers, I don't know the way they will interpret that one. Whatever they do, is it tenable?
But can't the Bureau function without counsel? Can it not?
No, it's supposed not to be, because they need to be tutored
and guided.
Yes, guided as far as what to do, because they are just secretariat for the council. And the council is not in place, and the Bureau is in place doing things. Does it mean they have to report?
Why is it so difficult to get the council
inaugurated? That is the question.
A whole lot of bonds are being instituted now.
That's the question public need to ask, and the proposed member of that council need to ask, particularly the media organization is a member of the council. Nigeria Bar Association is the council. Nigeria Society of Engineers, a member of council. Head of service, secretary to the government, then, and the Chartered Institute of Purchase and Supply Management, but it's only the Chartered Institute of Purchase and Supply Management. All that proposed members, they are not talking, as if Chartered Institute of Purchase and Supply Management is the only one that feels that things should be done right.
Delays are known to be detrimental to the achievement of goals. I'm sure you agree with that. Can delays be eliminated in procurement processes?
Delay of not inaugurating the council is a detrimental, because reason, law are made to be implemented, not to be kept in the shelf to gather dust. In a situation, a law is made that can solve most of our problem and it's not implemented, it means, why is that law made? That's the question we need to ask ourselves. Two, the National Assembly that's supposed to ask question, why is this law not implemented to the letter? They too, they are not talking, which means they are only interested in dishing out law unimplemented. That does not go well. Three, the World Bank that came and said that, look, procurement should be done in the right way with due process. You think they are stupid? These things have been done in other countries and they are moving fine. For example, when you are talking of UK, anything that they want to do as far as procurement, they allow the Chartered Institute of Procurement there to handle it and advise the government. But down here in Nigeria, procurement has not been given such recognition. And you know, none recognize an area that can be of use to the economic development is a detrimental to that nation. We should have to know from that angle. For example, it has been giving us a lot of problems. Take, for instance, the former Senate President, late Chuba Okadibo. Furniture contract burned his hand, which we all know. National Assembly don't have business with awarding contract. They have to let their need known to the appropriate section that can handle that aspect. That is one. You knew what happened during the Meiji period too, on the contract. Honorable Patricia, we all know all these things, all this procurement law. And
even the Dasuki episode.
Okay, you are the one who
procurement.
Yes, because the money is meant for the procurement of arms, but trust is appropriated, diverted to a different thing. That is why he is calling that. And you knew the law stated equally that no contract should be splitted. There should no bid rigging. And you know what happened during Bodege's issue in
MPA.
And so many others. Are all these not a lesson for us to know to do things right, to do the due process?
So you are saying there's no how you can eliminate delay. The rules just have to take their course.
The rule has to be applied. For instance, like the budget,
no way to that short circuit,
like
and still go faster.
Is
there no way?
Like the way that you want is to do things right. For instance, when you have done your planning, budgeting, and budget doesn't come out, it will overtake this thing. That delay in passing the budget alone, it affects procurement process. Let us not deceive ourselves. For example, if you go to market to the item that costs 10 naira, tomorrow you may go, it might have shoot up to that thing because of that delay. That delay, according to those who understand English, who speak it well, they say it's dangerous.
That's true. That's why I'm harping on this now.
So that is why everything that we are doing, if we are not doing it as to be done appropriately at the right time, it will cause a lot of delay. And delay is dangerous in everything. For example, if they take somebody to theater and doctor is waiting for syringe to come, and syringe, if that person dies, what happens?
All right, let's move on. Let's look at the role of tenders boards, in procurement and supply. Their role is very key, no doubt about that. From your experience, how will you assess the contributions of these tenders boards so far? It seems they don't seem to perform well.
The tenders board, when the Bureau of Public Procurement was doing things, was not told that it isn't. That's why they say accounting officer, which is the permanent secretary in the ministry, they have to make their note so that planning will take appropriate, step to make sure that things work fine as supposed to be, because in those days, the tenders at times they used to cause a lot of friction in in handling it appropriately. That's why when the World Bank came and said that the issue of tender was should be played down, why things should done with the due process, because the issue of procurement is to make sure that things function as it's supposed to be. Because if an item is not available at the appropriate time to carry out that function, it can cause a lot of damage to the economy and so on. That is why we are still talking of this delay in passing the budget. I mean, a budget that's supposed to start functioning from January, we don't get it until June, July. What are we doing? What has happened to the months that have passed? It's not happened. Look at it in this way again. We're talking of election, and that appropriate budget has not approved for it. When do you think they can make their plan to make sure that this? And that is why when you hear that, oh, a social item is not moved at the right time and this thing, I always ask question: if professional is handled to this thing, there is no point of keeping any item. Item will be coded in such a way that if not professional, you can't decode it.
All right. Now, procurement is such an expensive business. I'm sure you will also agree with me. How do you achieve maximum results in this all-important enterprise of, at least in the face of dwindling resources?
Yes. As I stated earlier when we started, I said we classify ourselves as the wise spender because the available budget for you, you are to ration it in such a way that you to take care of the necessary pending when other finance or resources will be come available, so that no area will be allowed to suffer, because all areas are very important to the development of economic and the citizenry. Is it the health sector you say you want to start? Is it education that you say you want to start? And when you start all those areas, don't you know the damage it will cause to the economy? Therefore, procurement, yes, as you have rightly said, is very sensitive and very key to any operations management.
All right. Let's also try and look at who should determine and decide what item to purchase in an organization, for instance.
The item to be purchased naturally.
Is it the CEO?
The item to be purchased naturally has to come from the users, because the users have to make their need that this is what they need. Why the procurement person will advise, do you have ability in the sense that do you have plan and budget to back it up? If you don't have, you don't need to go into it, so that at the end you will not start giving impression that this thing is the government that didn't need it because you didn't make provision from onset for it.
So who determines?
Yes. Then the determination is come from the needs of the users, need of the organization, need of the operation. That is what it means.
So it's a joint decision.
It's a joint decision that a procurement person cannot just sit down and say, you started to buy this item. The only item that a procurement person can just go on to buy is the item that is meant for all the departments, like stationaries, this and that. Is why they call those one revolving item, whereby if you need it, you make your requisition to the store. If you have ability to take the liability, in the sense that you have money in your call center, in your vote, to take that liability. If you don't have money in your vote, you cannot make return to the store, because if you take it there, the store will just say refer to the drawer. Just like if you send check to the bank and you don't have money there, they will cleverly say refer to the drawer. It's the same thing. If you want to take item from store, you make store requisition. If If it is in bank, you make requisition through your check.
Okay. Now, what's the place of transport logistics in this whole scenario of purchasing and supply?
Thank you very much. That is why it is called supply chain management. Transport is an aspect of the supply chain management because you cannot buy item and remain where you bought them. It has to be transported to
your base.
That is why. And handling equipment aspect of it equally, it has to be there because heavy item that is purchased, if there is no equipment to handle it effectively and efficiently and damage is done to it, the intended,
you have wasted your money.
That is what it is. And not only wasted the item, the people who saddle to you are causing their health to be another problem. That is why all this. That's why we call it supply chain management. Transport, logistics generally is this. Then in the manufacturing sector, when they are working, there should be a way of distributing items that will reach all sections. That, like I say, overhead crane that you are seeing the construction company they are doing. I don't know whether you reach also recently, you see how they are doing it without disrupting even the movement. Because transport alone is the only area that works every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days in a week, 4 weeks in a month. Throughout the whole year, transport doesn't rest. Did you see any road that vehicle not move? So transport is one of the key and driver of the supply chain management.
Right. You were in the committee that worked on the establishment of the Bureau of Public Procurement, BPP.
Yes.
You were on that committee way back in 2007. Is the BPP of 2018, this year of our Lord, is it the kind envisaged as at its birth in 2007?
When we were conceptualizing, when the study was carried out, and what the World Bank recommended was Public Procurement Commission, is when they reached the National Assembly, they changed it to the Bureau of Public Procurement.
Yes.
What was envisaged was that a lot of wastages are going on in ministries, departments, simply because things are not done as it's supposed to do professionally. Because if it is item you are to receive, there's a process for receiving those items. It's not just that item will just come and they do it. It has to be checked to make sure that things are done. Then, as I said earlier, there should be planning and everything. That's what the World Bank, in conjunction with the Institute,
in short.
did. Then, when it was conceptualized in that way, it is not what it was meant for that we are seeing happening now. Reason being that I would say the politicians have hijacked the whole system, that they don't want it to work as the World Bank envisaged and recommendation. Because the recommendation that the World Bank put on ground was that let things be done appropriately so that we can achieve effectiveness and efficiency and derive value for money or for taxpayers' money. But it's not there. Like the way they are going about it, it is not the ability to issue certificate of no objection that matter. How did you arrive at that?
Let me ask, is there the right synergy between your institute of purchasing and supply management and the BPP?
As far as the Charter Institute of Purchasing and Supply Management is concerned, and all the forums that I've attended, I always call that the BPP is a child of the Charter Institute of Purchasing and Supply Management. That a father will not allow his child to just suffer like that. That way, I will always want to link with them, make sure that we tell them what's supposed to be done. They are the one who don't want it because they are looking at it that, okay, since they don't have knowledge in that area and this is the area, maybe if they are tilted to us, we may take over the totality of the whole thing. That is the way they are looking at it. Whereas, no, what we want things to be done as it's supposed to be professionally so that our country can derive value for money. Because the way outsiders, for example, when I went with my members last year, May, to International Federation of Purchasing and Supply Management, the umbrella body of all procurement bodies in the world, the way they rated Nigeria, you won't believe it. And when we brought their CEO in 2014 in one of our conference, he said that in, the Chartered Institute of Purchasing and Supply had gone compared to what is obtainable in UK.
I have one quick question before we wind up. There's this conference you're coming up with, you know, in the coming week. What's it all about? It's got to do with all these things we're talking about, and what do you hope to gain from that?
Thank you.
And how will it not turn out to be one of those conferences, you know, that its decisions will be thrown into the waste paper?
Our conference, that is Chartered Institute of Purchasing and Supply Management Conference, is a unique one and very important and very key in making sure that it sensitizes and educates public and the government. That is why the people, the caliber of people we are bringing in this year. This year one is going to be a different one from the previous one we have been handling. We are even thinking that how can we bring you to come and grace our conference, being that you are well known in the media organization. So the conference is very, very unique. We are trying to see that the governor of Lagos, based on the good job is doing as far as infrastructure, which is part of the procurement process. Then the governor of Adamawa too, and governor of Akwa Ibom, and so many other dignitaries are coming, and we're even trying to give them an award. So if your Galaxy TV is there, we won't be surprised that this thing, because we are always friends to the media organization, and we're very friendly to media organization. And
so you are very sure it will achieve its objective?
It's going to surpass the previous one we have been doing. It's going to surpass it.
All right.
And I'll even have something to take to International Federation of Purchasing a meeting coming next month.
Okay. I think this is where we are going to be drawing the curtain on the program for today. My guest is being Alhaji Muhammad Jimo Aliyu. He is the registrar and the chief executive officer of the Chartered Institute of Purchasing and Supply Management of Nigeria. I want to thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me, and I hope you'll continue to
There's
romance
so much
with us.
more to talk about. We'll see how we can bring you in again. I want to thank you very much for being part of the show today. Next week, I'll be back with another personality. Until then, I'm Shegun Adiriye. I wish you a happy weekend. Bye-bye now.